And here we see an absolutely perfect example of industry ball-tonguing, okay? Because especially in Link 2, there is at least one quote that I want you to pay especially special attention to because, to be honest with you, yeah. They're talking about things that haven't happened yet in certain cases as if they've already happened. They're acting as if something has already been proven when it has not been proven. And you know what? I'm not buying it. Even if it proves to ultimately be true on some level, I don't care. I'm tired of the hype. I'm tired of the talk. I'm tired of the facts and figures that don't ultimately add up. I'm tired of the promises. I'm tired. So very friggin' tired of the hype. The industry can't be straight with us. They can't be transparent because industry secrets. On some level, yes, they're right, but to a degree, there's a certain bit of transparency that shouldn't need to be asked for from the industry. But here we've got Avalanche Studios, which will be link number 2, and John Blow, both praising the PS4, and I'm sure UPC fanboys are really going to love what Avalanche has to say about the PS4. So let's get into it, shall we? John Blow praises the power of the PlayStation 4. The Witness developer is also impressed with the share feature. Sad that the one community that might benefit from the share button, the Let's Players, none too pleased with the share button feature, but I digress. I think many eyebrows were raised when Braid developer Jonathan Blow came on stage at the Sony press conference last month and announced his upcoming title, The Witness, would be a timed exclusive for the PS4. Speaking to Edge, Blow praised the PS4's hardware, especially compared to the PC. Ouch! So actually, it's not just Avalanche who's throwing PC a bit under the bus, because you'd think I would be happy about that, seeing how I've been kind of tired that PC users have been throwing consoles under the bus, and that's why I got upset. Not because I'm pro console over PC. Heck, again, I'm embroiled in a major PC mod myself that's hopefully going to have a long-lasting life off into the future. It already has had a life of its own in its original form. You know, I don't hate PC. I just hate that people act that they will willingly say there is absolutely no advantage to console gaming whatsoever, and I have to digress for reasons that I've brought up in the past. But part of the reasoning that people say that they don't like consoles versus PC is that it's creatively limiting and that developers are always bellyaching and crying about how creatively stunted they feel when people pull games like Little Big Planet 2 out of their butts without barely even trying. And yeah, there's some tech issues and other issues I've had with Little Big Planet 2 off and on. Most of those, though, have been addressed and have been fixed by the company themselves, and I've been very happy with that for the most part. But considering the things that I'm seeing users especially doing with that game, you tell me consoles are creatively limiting. I say that these people have not tried hard enough in most cases with consoles. But at the end of the day, this is a meaningless topic. That's a meaningless discussion to have, and nobody can come out of that as a winner. It's a useless conversation. But now you have you have somebody who's even been a past PC developer, like with Braid, who's throwing PCs under the bus. I'm sure that's going to make you guys nice and happy. Rendering stuff through Windows has an impact on performance, he said. Since a console is just about games, that doesn't happen, and the equivalent game will run faster. What was that you were saying about how console games and console hardware limit the performance of games and limit the performance of the abilities of the artists and blah, 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 blah? Well, apparently one of your own developers is saying stuff it, in a manner of speaking, because of the way that consoles tend to be made. Now, granted, you have me on dev kits, and I've already talked about the dev kits, where Microsoft for the longest time had the best one, and apparently Sony said, screw this, we're gonna one-up Microsoft, which has made developers cream in their pants, and I could care less, because I'm tired of developers belly aching, being considered evidence that PC is 100% superior to console gaming. Blow must be impressed with the specs if he's making The Witness an exclusive for PS4 for a while. At least, he also seems fairly positive on the system's share button functionality. Now, you can read about that down in the underbar. I don't give two craps that he loves the share feature. This is a love letter written to the PS4. To me, on some levels, this feels a tad bit like overkill, because it just feels like it's tonguing Sony's balls. It really does. I mean, I don't mean to use such a sexual term, but we're all adults here, right? At least most of us. But let's go to Avalanches, because they take that concept that PlayStation 4 is better than your precious PCs and runs with it to a spectacular degree. Avalanche, PS4 will outpower most PCs for years. Loving that, aren't you? Aren't you? Okay, but the thing I really want you to pay attention to here is some of what he says here that really caught my eye and really caught my ire. Avalanche's chief technician officer Linus Blomberg is one of the many developers getting horned up for the PS4. He believes that Sony's system couldn't have come at a better time. With gaming PCs outclassing current-gen consoles, Blomberg's excitement for the machine that'll prove superior to most consoles. The console desperately needs a boost since having been overtaken in terms by performance by PC several years ago, and also losing market shares to mobile platforms, he told GamerBot. I'm glad Sony decided to go with the 8 gig RAM, because it means that the PS4 will outpower most PCs for years to come. Of course, it's worth mentioning that the CTO wisely said most PCs. There are some machines out there that that'll happily give the PS4 a run for its money, but most users aren't going to get their hands on that for a few years anyways. Still, Bloomberg's interest is more than simply power. This PS4 will not only be a very powerful gaming machine from the hardware perspective, but it'll also be a social tool and an integrated market akin to the successful mobile devices, he explains. It's the best of all worlds in a way. Great performance for demanding high-end gaming, good social ecosystems and connectivity, an integrated business market. Oh, yes, it's this last one here. He says he believes open world gaming will be taken to a whole new world thanks to PS4's performance and game model, or a business model. Business model. Business model. Really? What business model is that? Blomberg? The business model that says that most of your major content, including from your older PS3 console, will be streaming, where if the server is on maintenance or the server is out of service or the server goes down, so too does your game. You mean that game model? You mean the business model that says that your old PlayStation 3 saves, all of your old PlayStation 3 content, and all of your PSN account information or purchases will not transfer over, but may be able to be streamed at a later date? You mean that business model? I'm sorry, but Sony has not demonstrated any business model at all. to say that he likes their business model is absolutely ludicrous, because he's talking about what he thinks the business model will be. He's not talking about what's actually been demonstrated. And again, that then becomes hype, whether this person's trying to, at Avalanche, is trying to do it or not. He's giving in to this hype that was the non-event that was the PS4 reveal. We didn't really see anything. We saw a bunch of developers trotting out trying to say that this will be the greatest thing since sliced bread, showing us demos and things. And I like what Jim from the Jimquisition was talking about when he was talking about how we've already seen realistic head demos that looked very impressive, or mostly impressive. Looking at it now, you can tell it was outdated hardware they were working with. But the point was, they showed it and never delivered it. And that's the thing with Sony. There's a lot of show, but no deliver, no follow-through. And a lot of the PS4 thing was about, we are going to stream PS3 games to your system now, even though we said PS3 games would never come to the PS Vita. So please, please buy our PS Vita, even though in most territories we're not going to drop the price rate, or at least make the two models the exact same price, even though when we did that in Japan, it quadrupled our sales because we're idiots. You mean that business model? That business model that completely does things that are absolutely mind-boggling, even to somebody who doesn't have a degree in business. There is no logic here. These people constantly do things and then kind of just let them out to pasture. Cyndi Lauper talks about it in her newest biography book, which is one I want to actually pick up. And to a degree, Michael Jackson was talking about it, although he threw around the racial thing, which I thought was... honestly, I don't see his claim being that true. But the idea that Sony didn't promote him enough, I thought it was silly at the time. But researching a lot of artists who have worked with Sony in the past, they say this is their thing. They're incompetent in business. How they've made it this far, it's very hard to understand. But then again, the industry, and especially Sony in terms of its gaming market, hasn't gone full retard until most recently. In which case, this is what we're left with. And this is going to continue on to the PS4, only now most things are going to be streaming. And on some levels, that'll be better for hardware, but on some levels, it's not. It's showing that for all this major technology and graphical powerhouse, on some levels, they want to do stuff that's done off-site so that they can render things, maybe even on higher-end machines than what's on your tabletop there. Because remember, eventually the industry is looking to go completely digital, in which case it's likely to also go mostly streaming. And then eventually all streaming, if it even makes it that far, because as I've said, I don't see this industry going the distance anymore. I used to, because there used to be something to believe in with the industry. Those days, unfortunately, are very, very long gone. Links down in the underbar.